Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott. As we see a number of exciting new cameras released, like this Canon EOS R5, one of the things that happens is that as we continue to expect more and more in terms of performance, in this case we've got a 45 megapixel camera that can send as much as 20 frames per second through the pipeline. You've got to have a lot of very fast reading of information and writing of information as a part of that. And so in this case, it necessitated a move beyond the limitations of SD to a new card format, in this case a CFExpress Type B. So one of the additional expenses that all of us have to face as we transition or look to transition to these new cameras, it's not just bearing the cost of an expensive camera, but also the cost of buying a new memory card and very likely purchasing a new card reader if that's part of your workflow, and so that you can get the information off of the card onto your computer where you're going to do your edits. And so as I looked at purchasing a EOS R5, that's one of the things I had to explore. Now, over the last number of years, I have been purchasing Sony Tough cards. I've never had one fail on me at any point. I have had nothing but good success with them. And so while they cost a little bit more, I've been willing to bear that cost because I feel very good about the quality of performance. At the same time, when you start to talk about this brand of card and you start looking, like I purchased 128 gigabyte when I purchased one for my R5. But if you start looking at larger cards, a 256 gig card is going to cost you nearly $400 US, and a 512 gigabyte card is going to cost you closer to $600 US. You're talking about a very significant investment when you consider that you can actually purchase a number of cameras for that price. And so that opens up the market for others to step in to give us, thankfully, some less expensive alternatives. And so I'm here today to talk to you about a CFExpress Type B card that I've been testing that comes from the company PerGear. I've been dealing with PerGear for a few years, first as a retailer, and then more recently they've been selling products with their own brand on there. I've done some lenses, a few other things as a part of that, and reviewed them along the way. And so I wanted to take a look at their cards for the primary reason that these CFExpress cards tend to be a little bit sturdier made anyway by design than what SD cards are. And so maybe a little bit less of a concern when I'm talking about the tough cards, as far as the performance. But in this case, for a 256 gig card is $199 or $200 rather than $400 US. And then in the case of the 512 gig card, which I've actually been testing, it is $329 US versus nearly $600 US. So you're talking about a really significant savings. And in this case, the question is going to pop up: is the performance and is the longevity going to hold up? Now, obviously, there's only one of those questions that I can answer authoritatively. However, I can give you a little bit of a solution on the other side as well. So first of all, let's talk about performance. This particular card is rated at 1600 megabits per second of a read speed and 1200 megabits per second of a write speed. So just to give you an idea of my, the other card I've got in the camera is one of those, the other card is an SD slot, and so I've got one of those Sony Tough cards in there, UHS-2, and so it's rated at 300 and 299 megabits for read and write. And so obviously you're talking about a whole other level of performance, over 5 times the read speed, about 4 times the write speed plus a bit. Now that's not quite as good as what the Sony card that I've got here that I purchased. It is rated, according to the card itself, it is rated at a read speed of 1700 versus 1600 megabits per second, and then a write speed of 1480 versus 1200. And so the first thing that I wanted to examine with that in mind is, was there an actual difference in performance? And so I tried doing transfers both onto and then off of the card, since that is the most obvious way to test. And as you can see here, as I move files across, over multiple tests. I did about 4 different tests, and what I found is that in one of the tests, the Sony card was over the process of about 45 seconds of writing a file. It a larger video file. It was about a second and a half faster, and then in another one of the situations, the PerGear card actually was a split second faster. And so my takeaway after doing a number of tests is that for practical use, there's not really enough there to distinguish in terms of if you're transferring files back and forth onto a computer or across the card. There's really not enough of a practical difference there for that to be a major consideration. So when it comes to the other the question of quality and how well it's going to hold up. Obviously, I can't give you a long-term solution on that. I'm going to have to use the card for a while and find out. What I can tell you, however, is that it does come with a 5-year replacement warranty on it, which is actually a little bit better than what Sony is offering, and that Sony's is a 5-year limited warranty. And so in this case, you have at least the assurance that if there is some kind of card failure, that you're going to be able to get the card replaced. And obviously that warranty has yet to be tested in my experience, so I can't speak to what the customer service end would be, the process itself, but that certainly is some kind of reassurance that is there. I'll also note that just like what they do with Sony, they say protection against shock, magnetic, temperature extremes, and X-ray, and so a lot of the similar type assurances when it comes to the the construction value of the card itself. And so bottom line is that if you're looking to save money, this card is coming to market at the end of February 2021, and so you can already start to place pre-orders from a couple of places that I will throw into the description down below if you'd like to pre-order one. And so if you're just looking for a card, maybe a backup card even, and you don't want to spend a lot of money for it, or if you want multiple cards, or if you're buying a new camera and you just don't want to spend all of that money for a premium first-party card, then certainly from what I've seen so far at least, the PerGear card is certainly worthy of some consideration. I'm Dustin Abbott. If you look in the description down below, there is linkage there to go and purchase one, and and again, it's pre-order at this point, but they should be available and start shipping here very shortly. Beyond that, there's linkage to follow me on social media, to become a patron and sign up for my newsletter that comes out every Thursday. There is starting to trickle in some of my merch options, and more of that will be added to the storefront as we move ahead over the next few weeks, and so I look forward to that. Of course, if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. Be sure to ring that bell and so that you can get notifications when new content drops. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and let the light in.